And one day, a kind of a slow afternoon, I saw sort of 10-year-old kids, playing, a plastic wrapped up, tied up thing. And, they're having a good time, running around, kicking that. And because I'm a soccer referee, I felt like, well, why don't I spend time with these kids? And so I told them that, I picked up my, whistle, and I got a proper ball, and I said, and asked them, I said, hey, if you want a referee, I'll help you out. So they kind of were incredulous. I mean, who would want a referee, a kind of, and I told them I'd loan you my ball, and that helped, they appreciate them. But there was one young man who was watching, his name was Rafiki Makata, and he's the one who approached me afterwards. Was there any way I could assist them? And that was sort of like the genesis of the SM Galaxy team. In fact, my initial reaction was was to say no, because these youths are in the Blantyre city area, and although they are in the Ndirande township, which is really more like a slum area, right. They would still they might still want to look like what a team from a city would like to look like. And I figured now you start doing that, you guys are going to start asking for this and that, So my initial reaction was to say, well, right now I'm fairly involved with the guys participating in entire football league, in my home area of Nkota, and I wasn't particularly keen to branch out, to the Blantyre area. And so I told Rafiki, I said, no, forget it, good luck with your team, but after that initial encounter, Ms. Sandra Piri, advised me about the need to assist the youth in that area. The suggestion was very simple, give them the same conditions that you've given the youth in Nkota, namely community service. And not only would their work help that slum area, that community of Ndirande, but because of their location, namely being in the Blantyre city area, and meeting some of the journalists, perhaps they might attract the attention of the journalists if they really did community service, and then that way they would get a degree of publicity which might then bring other youth into the fold and sort of really generate more interest in engaging the youth in community service. So I said, okay, the condition that I would attach to any assistance that they would receive would be exactly comparable to the ones I'd given to the Kapanga Blades, Yamikani Eagles, Charoda Chizita Chiefs, Ngombe Chargers, and some of the other teams that were trying to get into the entire football league in the Nkota area. Namely, they should commit themselves to assisting the community by being of service, when, especially in this age when, because of the scourge of AIDS, funerals are never ending. Question is, how can you be of service when things like that happen? All right, and not only that, place of worship, how can you be of service, to your community through, offering assistance in the maintenance of their, facilities like place of worship or, clinics, all right, and of course, helping out with the sick or visiting them, cheering, the sick, helping, the elderly folks, in agricultural work and other that things. To be a convenient forum for, heightening awareness about AIDS. And the idea was to say, look, it's one thing to be of service when funerals occur. The funerals, the deaths seem to be more prevalent amongst, the youth. And the the able-bodied, segment of the society. Question is, how do we begin to address that? And, and part of it was to say, well, we need to get the message about HIV/AIDS to, that kind of group. It's one thing for them to be interested in playing soccer, and even getting, assistance by way of, equipment, soccer jerseys, balls, cleats, etc. It's another thing for them to actually be healthy enough to play. Right. So that became part of the, the message and the, the focus, in getting the youth involved, that, pay attention to health issues, especially issues of HIV/AIDS, and commit yourselves to improving your own community. And if you do that, then others will be more inclined to cheer you by making these donations. A way of, giving them the encouragement that what they are doing, is something that is laudable, and, to make sure that they don't get discouraged, give them the material.